Today we review the newest model from MG, the compact crossover, which is named the MG ES5. This car is the direct rival to BYD Yuan Plus, to Geely Galaxy E5, which we have recently reviewed on our channel, and you can see that video right following this link. This car has same shape as Geely Galaxy E5, for example, and even the starting price in China is at the magical 99,900 RMB, which is a little lower than 100,000 RMB, and which is about 13,600 United States dollars according to the today's exchange rate. And the top version costs about 20,000 United States dollars. Today we check thoroughly the versions of this car, the equipment. I will tell you about all the characteristics. We will perform a test drive and we will try to evaluate the market prospects of this car. Stay tuned. We start with the body. Here we have the length of 4.5 meters. The wheelbase is 2,700 millimeters, and this is the golden standard of a compact to medium-sized crossover, which already lets you to have enough space inside on the second row and enough space in the trunk. And basically this car is very spacious inside. And also the body is made of the steel. The rate of the high strength steel here is 77%. And the main good thing that all the outside and inside steel panels, they are galvanized with zinc coating. Even the interior panels, inside panels of the door, the body crate, all that we have with zinc coating, which is much better than several competitors of this car, for example, like Honda ENS2. At the same time, the carb weight of this car in the top version with biggest battery is just 1,750 kilos, which makes this car actually pretty light, much lighter than, for example, Volkswagen ID.4 with a single motor. Let's go at once to the battery, and here we have the lithium ferrum phosphate batteries with quite low voltage. It's just 340.2 volts, produced by SAIC and CATL joint venture. We have two capacities, 49 kilowatt hours and 62 kilowatt hours, with the range 425 and 525 kilometers by CLTC respectively. These batteries are actually old-fashioned because there is no cell-to-pack technology, no cell-to-body technology. We just have the prismatic modules, prismatic cells in prismatic modules just packed into the battery pack, and the battery pack is fixed to the body downstairs there by bolts. Just to remind you, the BYD Yuan Up, which is actually even a cheaper car, already used the cell-to-body technology, and for example Geely Galaxy E5, they use the cell-to-pack technology with the very long blade cells. The motor here is the only one option. It is 125 kilowatt of peak power. It is 170 horsepower. The torque is 250 newton meters, and with this motor mounted on the rear axle, we have the acceleration from 0 to 100 in 7.7 seconds, and I must say it's totally enough and sufficient for this car because I've already driven it and it drives nice and accelerates quite nice. We don't have any four-wheel drive versions and we don't have any hybrid versions as well. Now I will talk detailed about the versions of this car. Totally we have 5 versions. 2 of them are with smaller battery, 49 kilowatt hours, and 3 of them are with bigger battery, 62 kilowatt hours. We have the same LED lights in the front in all the versions, but in only top 5th version we will have the adaptive far and near light change. Although we have differences in the wheels, here we have the 18-inch wheels because this is the top version, but in basic versions we will have the 17-inch wheels. The width here is 215 and the profile height is 55. Cameras 360 we have only in top version with small battery, in sub-top version with big battery, and of course in top version with big battery. In other versions you cannot add it even for extra fee. But the real problem with equipment in my mind here is with the autopilot system. The autopilot system, which is the level 2 autopilot with adaptive full-speed cruise control system with the blind spot monitoring, is in the only 5th version by default. In other versions you cannot add it for any extra fee. For example, the Geely Galaxy E5 has the autopilot system in the 2 highest versions, and in the 2 sub-high versions we can add it for just 2,500 RMB, which is about 400 USD. I don't know why they made it like that, because actually having the ACC, the full-speed adaptive cruise control, is the entry ticket to taxi drivers, because taxi drivers in China, they do not like to use the cars without the adaptive cruise control, in the oversaturated huge cities like, for example, Shanghai. So this is very weird situation for me for the car which launched in 2025. There is also one feature in terms of which this car is better than competitors. All the versions have V2L with very powerful inverter which gives you up to 6.6 kilowatts. It's really high power, and most of the competitors do not have V2L at all or have it up to 3.3 kilowatts at max. All the other differences among the versions of this car are inside in the interior, and I must say that interior is the strong point of this car because first of all, some of the materials here are better than in the competitors' interior. For example, on the steering wheel we have the genuine leather in all the versions, at least that is what's said in the specification to this car. On the seats we also have fake leather in the basic versions combined with textile material, but in top versions with big and small batteries we have the natural leather like here combined probably with fake leather right here. Some of the competitors do not have the genuine leather at all. By the way, about the heating and about the ventilation, here the situation is not so good because we do not have the steering wheel heating at all. We have the front seat heating in the top versions, and only in one top, fifth version, we have the seat ventilation, but only on the driver's seat. And honestly, competitors, many of them have a little bit more options for the seat heating and ventilation for this price. Generally, the quality of interior is quite nice, despite some fake materials which should be finished like soft materials, but in fact it's just plastic with a soft material texture. Nevertheless, it's quite nice, it's well made, there is no cracking sound. Here we have the very beautifully finished wireless charger, but it's only in the top version. In other versions you cannot add the wireless charger at all. And the most modern part of this interior is this large 15.6-inch diagonal touch screen with 2.5K of resolutions with quite good quality. Also we have the cameras 360 in this car, but here the light is quite dull and the image is not so vivid, but when I tested the test drive car during the sunny day, the quality was very nice. This is probably a normal Android system as I see, and unfortunately we do not have the English menu from the box from the factory in this car. Despite this is a global car and it has global versions, actually sales of the global versions, as I know, already have started in some markets, and of course those cars will have English and other languages. The physical buttons of the steering wheel are very traditional. They can be used to show the camera's 360 menu, they can be used to change the information on the main gauges, and also they can be used as normally to steer the cruise control and the sound, the volume of multimedia. The second draw is 4 out of 5. Why is 4 out of 5? Because we have Geely Galaxy E5 where it's 5 plus or maybe even 6 points out of 5, because there it's literally perfect. Right here we have quite enough space, we have a lot of space for knees. The floor is quite low, but I would like to have it like 3 centimeters lower. We don't have any central tunnel, which is good. We have very convenient armrest, very comfortable in the correct place. We have only one USB port and we have the deflector of air conditioning system. That's all. It's okay to ride here for 3-4 hours, no problem for me at all. And we have the huge panoramic sunroof over my head, which is only in the top version with small battery, in the last 2 versions with big battery. And which is very important, the panoramic sunroof has this electric shade, and also here we have the thermal glass, which as it is said on the website takes about 99.9 of ultraviolet. Luggage compartment is the strong point of MG ES5. First of all, the geometry of this luggage compartment is almost perfect. Secondly, we have the good volume here. It is 476 liters when the seats are not folded down. We have good finishing here. This material is quite nice. This material is not very expensive, but it's good we have it. It's not just normal plastic, and everything here feels very solid. And if we fold the seats, finally we have the 1.5 cubic meters of volume with a flat floor. The infography of the size of this trunk you will see right now on your screen. And also, by the way, under this false floor we have more space. We have quite nice organizer, and by the way, you should remember that here we have the motor under this floor, so this space is quite good result for the engineers and designers of this car. And if we open the first cover of something. It's not engine cover, of course. We can see that here we don't have any frunk, although it could be here for sure, because this size of the car and this rear motor layout could allow you to make here the frunk, but we do not have it at all. At the same time, we see everything what we have here, and just name it one by one. This is the tank for cooling liquid for the motor. This is the air conditioner heat pump system. Here you see the solenoid valves, and this is very funny, but this car doesn't have the heat pump air conditioner in all versions. It has only in top versions. And for example, the version without heat pump, the basic version with bigger battery, 62 kilowatt hours, which doesn't have heat pump, has the CLTC range 615 kilometers, and the car with the same battery and with heat pump has for 525 kilometers. This is very weird for me, because BYD, for example, put the heat pump in all of the cars which just have 4 wheels, now probably have the heat pump from BYD. From other side, this car is quite well assembled. Everything here looks quite nice, and this is actually the feature of SAIC. When we come to the metal part, the plastic part, all these, they have quite good quality, but in terms of high technology, in terms of autopilot systems, they are pretty retarded. One more thing I want to tell you here, that the 12-volt battery is big, is nice, it's very important for EV cars as well. We have the steering rack with electric motor, which is separated from the rack, and I see you can change it just separately, which is very good. In case we have problem with it, we can repair much cheaper compared to some cars where we have it on the shaft or where it's combined together. And also look how this car is made. This is the metal crate of the body, the crate of the fender, and it finishes right here exactly same as in the Geely Galaxy E5. Before, like 5 years ago, I've never seen someone do like this. Usually this part finishes somewhere here and so on, but they make it as short as possible to reduce the weight, to reduce the material cost, and of course it's like a new way of making body design, and it doesn't influence badly the safety of the car. It doesn't influence it in a bad way, because we have these longerons which are very strong, and I'm sure this car will have the 5 stars at the Euro NCAP. Several words about the audio system. The best audio system on the market is in Geely Galaxy E5. The whole electronic giant named Meizu labored to make it really nice, and you can take it from Geely Galaxy and put in a car for 200,000 United States dollars, and everyone will be satisfied. Here the situation is totally different. This car is quite primitive in terms of electronic and technology. We don't have HUD, we don't have this super high-class Dolby Surround audio system. We have only 4 audio speakers in basic versions and 6 audio speakers in this particular top version. But actually they sound quite okay, they sound quite nice, they sound better than in BYD. They have these equalizer settings, but of course compared to Geely 5 it's 100 levels below. Suspension and ground clearance, and first we start with the turning radius, which is mentioned on the website of MG. It's just 5 meters. This car has really good turning angle on the front wheels, but it's quite normal for a rear-wheel drive car. And now we go to the suspension, and in my opinion, everything here is very good, because it's traditional simple MacPherson. The ball bearing we have exchangeable, mounted on bolts. The lower level is very massive. The silent blocks are very massive as well. The quality of everything looks quite nice right here, and the ground clearance under the plastic protection of the front subframe is 186 millimeters, which is actually very, very good. Now we look at the ground clearance in the middle of the car, and it's 180 millimeters under the battery. The battery pack has extra protection, probably from gravel and from and for sound isolation, and generally everything looks here very nice. And usually SAIC doesn't save on materials like this, on protections, on cover, on paint, and etc. The rear suspension is quite advanced multi-link 5-lever suspension, which gives good steering and low vibrations transferred from the road to the driver and to the rider. And the ground clearance under the rear motor is 200 millimeters, which is quite nice. And I like how all these protective screens made. They are quite rigid and quite well fitted. So now we have a chance to try this car on the road. This is the top version of MG ES5. I'm really curious how it's driving. I already like how I sit at the steering wheel. I will make the position a little bit lower. The gear shift is on the steering wheel, same as in Tesla, as in Mercedes-Benz, and here we start. Okay friends, now we are driving MG ES5, and about 1 year ago I had a chance to drive for about 1 week MG ZS. That car had terrible multimedia system, some materials inside were very cheap, but In fact, that was one of the best driving cars I've ever tried, at least in the price budget below maybe 50,000 United States dollars. Of course, that car was much cheaper. And this is the same story. The suspension here, the driving culture is extremely high. It's a car which is extremely pleasant with dealing with all these bumpy roads. The road here is really not good, and all that is taken into account that currently on the pressure monitoring display we have 3.2 bars in each wheel. Many showrooms make the test drive cars over pressured because they want to show less energy consumption. This is probably exactly that case, and as for 3.2 bars, this car is fascinatingly, amazingly good on these all bumpy roads. The steering wheel is very transparent when we just stand on the traffic light or when we are parking, but now we have very adequate force on the steering wheel. So the steering wheel force is changeable and it's very well adjusted. The view in the mirrors, the view in the front and front windshield and the rear view mirror is extremely good. Well, in the rear view glass it's maybe not so good, but it's quite good, and in side mirrors it's extremely good. The acceleration is quite nice, and the only disadvantage I really feel here is that when I push the acceleration, when I give the loading to the motor, which is on the rear axle, I hear the typical sound of electric motor, like an electric bus. Many electric cars don't have that. For example, ID4 you will not hear it, of course Zeekr you will not hear it, and many other cars, but some cars unfortunately do have it. Here, by the way, the motor is from United Electronics. This is the company which produced the electric motors for some big companies like Xiaomi they used to produce, and many other. It's like company which makes electric components and motors as an outsourcing, and I don't know why, but I hear this electric motor when I accelerating with higher power. That is not very pleasant, despite actually the sound proof and sound insulation is in this car is extremely good. What about the acceleration here? We are now in sport mode, even ESC is turned off, and I must say that this motor is totally enough for normal city commute. You don't feel that it is limited, it has limited power from start. So actually it's no problem to do overtakes, it's no problem to start from the traffic lights. I think this power is totally sufficient, and it's really a pleasant car to drive. From front it doesn't feel like a compact SUV, because this front bonnet actually it's quite large, and you see it and you feel as you are in a car of a little bit higher segment. And at the same time I must say that the interior is assembled quite in a good way, with quite high quality. I haven't heard any cracking sound while driving for almost 15 or 20 minutes already. Everything feels solid, rigid, and so on. What else I want to say is that the understeering switch is quite nice. I like their quality of working, and also we have the 3-level of recuperation, and now we are in the 3rd level, but it's not a one pedal mode like in Tesla, for example, almost one pedal mode drive. It's just a moderate recuperation. Now here we can check the energy consumption, and currently in this car we have 19 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, and in such driving style as I now have, many cars have 25 or more. Here I'm trying to overtake. In my opinion, this is sufficient power for a car which doesn't pretend to be any sportive or anything, and with the rear-wheel drive mounted engine, the culture of acceleration of steering is very nice. And by the way, one more interesting feature of this car, that for some reason this car doesn't have the automatic parking function, which is actually quite normal for this price segment, and even for cars cheaper, at least which debuted in 2024, 2025 and so on. So this is a surprise for me. Even in top version it doesn't have it. Also, this car doesn't have the front parking radars in any version. At the same time, that's why probably it also doesn't have the automatic parking function. This is quite weird for me. Although I don't like this function, I never used it except for the shooting of the videos. The sound insulation of this car is really nice. Right now we've been driving on the wet road. I don't hear any sound from the tires driving on the wet surface. Sound insulation is compared to the Geely Galaxy E5, for example, despite this car doesn't have the multi-layered soundproof glass, for example. So it's 2025 year, and unfortunately we still do not have the perfect SUV in compact segment, but I know how we could make it. We should just take the chassis from this MG ES5 and put it into Geely Galaxy E5. Geely Galaxy E5 is a way more technological car, which has a super high technological audio system, which has HUD, which has massage heating, ventilation of the seats, zero gravity seats, which has autopilot level in almost all the versions, and many other features. Many of them are not presented here at all, unfortunately. But what presented here is a really nice handling of the car, steering of the car, feeling of the culture of the work of the chassis, of the steering mechanism, and so on. In these terms, you will not be disappointed by this car for sure. And also, this car is practical. It has plenty of space inside. It has quite big luggage compartment, and the quality how all this assembled is also very nice. This is actually the style of SAIC. When we talk about production of metal parts, plastic parts, painting, and so on, they usually do not save too much. But in terms of technology, they're usually way retarded compared to the leaders of the market. Anyway, we can help to export you this car to your country, to almost any country of the world, and this is will be the global model. Probably it will start official sales in your country very soon, but from China directly it may be much cheaper. Please contact me if you need a car from China. All the contacts in the description to this video. Please push the like button, hit the bell, and if you like this video, of course, share it. My name is Dennis, I really love cars, and have a nice day. Thanks for watching.